so Steve doesn't yell at me. So, all right. So I've set the recording on. I'm going to talk from some slides that I'm going to look at, but I'm not going to post them on here, because if I post them on here, there's a possibility that I'm infringing on something since I post all this stuff to my YouTube page, and I don't want somebody calling me and telling me that I've got to take it down because I posted their stuff. So, but I am cheating off of somebody else's ideas. But real quickly, I want to tell you guys something. I met with a guy today that, and it wasn't a direct contact of mine. It was somebody else on the team met this guy, and then they put us all together, and we had a conversation today. The guy had been with Herbalife for 13 years as in their corporate office, and he basically was the kind of like our Isogenics corporate, where they travel around and they do events and they do training and all that kind of stuff. And he was saying that one of the things that he dealt with was the commission structure and compensation plan, and teaching the compensation plan. And one of the reasons I was interested in talking to him, obviously twofold. One is that, I'd love to steal him and bring him onto our team. But the other is I wanted to know, what are we up against, when we're talking to somebody that's with Herbalife or some of these other teams. You don't really realize how great our compensation plan is until you talk to somebody that's doing another compensation plan and they try to explain it to you, or you've done another compensation plan and you realize that you weren't there to make money. You were just there to try to help everybody else above you make money. In Herbalife, he said that in order to teach their compensation plan, they have a 2-day, 8 hours a day training on just the comp plan. So in order to learn the compensation plan, you have to go to a 2-day, 8-hour course. And at the end of that 2-day, 8-hour course, he said most people still aren't 100% comfortable with understanding it. And it's because it has nothing to do with just one side versus another side, kind of like Isogenics, right and a left, and you kind of build your program. Theirs is way more convoluted in the fact that it has multiple layers across the top. You can build as far across, vertically, or horizontally, I should say, horizontally as you want, and then you can start building down. But one of the things that I took away from it is that when you start building down, right, and somebody below you achieves the same rank that you are, it essentially terminates your earnings below that level. So if I coach Lisa and Lisa starts earning the same amount that I am, then anybody that she's enrolled, I'm cut off from any of the volume that is created below her. So the idea, although he says it's not really that way, is I don't really understand why I would be coaching somebody below me to get to the level that I'm at, if I knew that when they get to the level that I'm at, it cuts me off from all of the volume below them. So you kind of would want to have them growing at a slower rate, at least until you could get another leg growing and getting down there deeper, so that when this one gets cut off, you're getting, something from the next one. So anyway, just kind of interesting, again, the benefit of the comp plans that we have compared to some of these other compensation plans that are out there. So again, just something to think about. And since I had the conversation with him, so I am trying to bring him over to the team, but we'll see what happens. So if all of a sudden we get somebody over here that can start talking other compensation plans, it'd be great, because I think it'll help us to all understand ours better. And obviously it would bring a whole nother level of understanding. So if you run into somebody though that is at all interested in the business and they say they're with Herbalife, you own them on the comp plan. I mean, you own them straight out. There's no way in the world that they would compare the Isogenics comp plan to the Herbalife comp plan and think that they could make more money with Herbalife than they could with the Isogenics, what Isogenics has to offer. So just something to keep in mind. All right. See who else is on the call here. Danny and Dan, Kelly, Trish. Who's Dan's iPad? Who's that? I don't know who that is.
Hey, Brent, can you mute everybody?
I will. Yeah. I was just trying to see Dan's iPad. Who's Dan's iPad?
That's me, Dan Makar.
Oh, okay. Hey, Dan.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Where are you at now, Dan? Are you in Texas?
Yeah, I'm in Texas, San Antonio.
Oh, cool. Well, glad you're on the call.
Thank you.
And then get Terry. All right, cool. All right. Well, let me hit the mute button here. And we'll go on to. Cool. All right. So everybody's muted. If you want to unmute yourself, you can. And if somebody kicks on that isn't covered, I will mute them eventually. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about was just since we're getting ready to go into launch week again, and I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that that launch week they're going to come out with the vegan line. That's my belief. So my belief is that they're going to introduce some new products and actually I guess I need to change my terminology, and hopefully that helps you guys change your terminology, is that we don't refer to it as a vegan line. We change it to either plant-based protein line or dairy-free line versus saying vegan. Apparently vegan has some negative connotations to some people. So what we want to say is plant-based protein or dairy-free is the two preferred ways to describe that line of product. So anyway, keep that in mind. All right, I've got to move everybody. Now, let me see how I'm going to be able to do this here. All right, so with that and with the upcoming the upcoming launch week, I really want to talk to you guys about how, and I'm going to encourage you to do this. You obviously don't have to, but if you want to grab out a pen and paper, we're going to talk a little bit about goal setting ideas and how that works and hopefully what that does for you, right? Tracy and I, and one of the things on here you're going to see is I really try to know my numbers, right? I try to know my numbers about everything. We just went through director pools and executive pools, and I actually had to make a phone call today to VIP on somebody else's executive pool, or pardon me, it was actually on their director pool, because I felt like that their benchmark was figured odd. Now, to corporate's credit, the benchmark was figured in a manner that was most beneficial to the associate. And the only thing and I had a conversation with Jill, and Jill's comment was, well, anytime something's done, it's always done to the benefit of the associate. And I said, well, I get that, but I want to know why, right? So that I can coach it. And I'll give you the example. The example was that their share values, or their cycle volume, totaled 10. Okay, so over 4 weeks, they had a total of 10 cycles, right? So if you divide 10 by 4, you get 2.5. Now in Isogenics world, we round from that number. If it's 2.5 or more, then you would expect it to go to 3. If it was 2.4 or less, then you would expect it to go to 2. Well, in this particular case, it was 2.5 and it was rounded back down to 2. So I wanted the answer as to why that was, but at the same time, I didn't want to have to go directly to commissions, because I didn't want commissions to pull his report and to say, oh, well, there's a problem here, and then he gets his benchmark jumped to 3 instead of 2. So I called VIP and ran the scenario by him, and unfortunately, they weren't able to give me the answer, which that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. But I am going to get the answer, and I called Jill, and Jill's response was, well, it's got to have something to do with the belief in the system that, when we do something, we do it to the benefit of the associate. Again, I get that, but I've got to be able to explain to you guys how to figure your benchmarks. And if there's not something cut in stone, I don't want to tell Liz, oh yeah, look, yours is 2.5 and you got 2, and then tell Cindy, yours is 2.5 and you got 3, and I not be able to understand why. And that's, or if it's 2.5, does it go to 2? But if it's 2.8, does it go to 3? I don't know. And that's what I've got to figure out how to find the answer to that. So just know that some of these things you can't always control. But on the topic of tonight is going to be knowing your goals. And these goals can start off small, right? And that's fine. And in fact, you should set a series of small goals. And then after setting your series of small goals, you should always have a larger goal. I was talking to somebody else on the team tonight, and they've got a goal for a certain amount of weight loss that they want to hit by the end of the month. And I said, okay, that's great. And we know what that is. But then I also said, well, what is your 6-month out goal? And the person didn't have one, or they hadn't thought about it in terms of 6 months out. And I'm going to encourage you to always have your short-term and your long-term goals. And I'm not a person that generally writes mine down, and I'll confess to that, right? But I know what they are. If somebody asks me, say, hey, Brent, what do you want this to be? What do you want that to be? I can tell you what my short-term and long-term goals are, but I know my numbers. And I really want you guys to know your numbers, both in physical transformation. So if you've got physical transformation goals, you can convert a lot of what we're talking about here into those. But because you're on this call, that's a business call, we're going to talk about financial goals and how those work. So with that, get to the right screen I want to be at here. Tracy, can you still hear me? Are you plugged in? Oh, you're not plugged in. Can somebody tell me if you can hear me? Because when I hit this button, it shows that I'm off the screen. Can any of you hear me when I was off screen there?
Yep, heard you perfect.
Okay, all right, that's what I needed. Thank you. All right, so you cannot minimize Zoom when you are recording this meeting. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's see. We're going to go to all right. So we're going to start here. We're going to talk about how to design your dream life. Okay. And how to design your dream life, you need to know some things. And this particular author has divided into 5 categories to start. And you can add more categories to this as you go, but these are his 5 categories. Category 1 is shelter and transportation. Category 2 is food and health. Category 3 is hobbies. 4 is family. And 5 is a better world. Now, we can discuss, because when I read this, obviously, I was like, well, they're kind of off on the way they've got them listed, because I would list family first, right? But in the design of your life and how you want it to look, you can put those in any order you want. You can add more to it if you want, but don't add less. Okay, let's start with 5 for now. So shelter and transportation, food and health, hobbies, family, and a better world. And so you really want to kind of start designing what you want in each of those categories for yourself, right? So that you can have an idea of exactly how you can implement those categories in your life, so that when you're setting your goals, you can establish your goals based off of those 5 initial ones. And I'll give you an example. So under shelter and transportation, what house do you want to live in? Is the house that you're living in now fine, or do you want something different? If the house that you're living in now is fine, is there anything that you want to do to it to make it different, to change it? Do you want a vacation house? Or do you just want to be able to go wherever you want and rent wherever you want? Is there a specific car or cars that you would like to have? Is there a boat or boats? They talk about utilities. They talk about the insurance for them. Now, part of this is talking about your numbers and understanding your numbers. Clothing, and then maintenance and fees in relationship to owning any of those. So under your shelter and your transportation, know what those things are that you want, and I can tell you from our personal experience, when we moved into a house that we shouldn't have, some of those things I didn't account for well, and I didn't know my numbers, and it ended up surprising the hell out of us. So I would tell you that know what these goals are that you want. But if you want $1 million house that literally it costs $1 million, if you looked at a house down the street that you think, oh, I want this house or this cabin or this getaway or whatever, and you know the price tag on it is X, then you also need to figure out what would it cost to live there. So know what it would cost in utilities, know what it would cost in insurance, know what it would cost in maintenance and fees. Understand those things, because if you understand those things, then it makes the reality of that more prevalent. Meaning that if you think, oh, I want to own this house, and you think my payments would be this if I had to buy it, and I can afford that, but then you also need to figure in those other expenses so that you know if you really can afford it. So when you're setting your goals in each of those categories that we talked about, go through it and set those up and think about the different costs that would be associated with that. And under family, which obviously is important, is school for your kids. What school do you want them to go to? What clothing? The college fund? Are there any sports that they're going to be involved in? Special skills or things like that they want to learn how to do? And what would it cost you in terms of, what gifts do you want to give, and those sort of things. So again, when you're talking about your family and designing your dream life around your family, put your number together so that you understand what that means. Okay? Know what it means to have those things, because it changes, right? I mean, and this is the little pop quiz. Can you tell me how much it currently costs you to live? And I know I talked to you guys about this before, but I would challenge each of you to write down the dollar amount that you think it's costing you to live right now. And then I would tell you to go and really figure it out and see how close you were to your dollar amount. And what is a dollar amount that you spend every single month just in being you and being alive, right? Your costs of your car, the cost of your house, the cost of your utilities, the cost of your insurance monthly, if you broke it down monthly, all those costs, and figured out every single dollar that it costs. So I would challenge you to write down what you think it costs, and then go back and figure out exactly what it really does cost. And if you haven't done this, I would encourage you, because again, you guys are business builders and team builders, is to go back and enter if you're saying, well, I'm really not sure what it costs me to live each month. Well, go get a software system like QuickBooks or Quicken or any of those, and enter your last 6 months worth of expenses from your bank statements and see what it cost you to live for the last 6 months. That's going to give you a good estimate. And you should be able to come up with that. And then what I challenge you to do is the next step of that is put together what you think it would cost you to live if you had the life that you think that you always wanted. And if that's traveling every week, every day, every month, once a year, whatever it might be, if it's owning certain things and figuring that out. And again, put the numbers to these, because when you're goal setting, you need to know all these numbers, right? So I think it's, and I did a lot of this stuff. I went through these, and it was interesting for us to write these numbers down and see what they really look like on paper, and then drive ourselves toward them. Okay. In business and in your personal life, you can't grow unless you know the numbers. Don't vague the numbers down. Don't look at it and say, oh, well, I wouldn't normally pull this much money out from the ATM as I did that month or this month or whatever. Get your numbers. Go toward it. If you do anything else, always round up. Don't ever round down, because as we have more, typically, because this is just the way we are, we typically want more. And so if you round up on your numbers, then you're going to be closer. And especially when it comes to setting goals, set goals that are harder. Kind of on a side note to that is the number of people that sent me messages talking about their benchmarks and how scary their benchmarks were to them this month when they went back and looked at what they changed to, right? Because I know a lot of you guys, especially those of you that are on this call, have had some amazing last couple months, right? Where you've cycled more than you've ever cycled before. And now your benchmarks are rocking and rolling. And I want you to know to continue to push those, but I also want you to set this in your head now. And I want you to set this expectation for those of you that are working with your teams closely. The expectation is this: if you can have a phenomenal May, June, and July and August, then have it. Have it, celebrate it, and be excited about it. But conversely, if you're like most of us and June, July, and August slide a little bit, or possibly a lot for some of us, don't set your people up for expectations that they should just continue to rock right through June, July, and August when that's not the norm. Celebrate those that rock and roll through June, July, and August, but recognize and make sure that they're prepared for the fact that they may see a slide of their cycles and of their what they're doing through June, July, and August. I know a lot of people will say to me, I shouldn't coach that, but I got to tell you, the reality is it's true, is that you may see a slide in your cycle volume through June, July, and August. Don't be surprised. Celebrate if it doesn't happen, but your team members may not be as dedicated through June, July, and August as you are. And that's why I'm telling you, every single person on here, you need to be hammering your teams about your auto ship. You need to be talking to them about auto ship. You need to be getting them into that auto ship contest that we've established in Great Nutrition. You need to can create your own auto ship contest if you don't think the one that I've listed has enough bite to it. Because if you can get auto ships established and blowing it up through June, July, and August, you will set your bar a whole lot nicer, and you will set your income up a whole lot better if you have your auto ships rocking through June, July, and August. It's simple math, everybody. People will forget to order, and if they forget to order and they don't have it for a couple of days, then a couple of days turns into a couple of weeks, and a couple of weeks turns into a couple of months, and then they've completely fallen off, or they have to reorder. Get your people set up, show them how to establish their auto ship, show them how easy it is to change it, show them how easy it is to adjust it, do anything they want with it, but get those auto ships set up, and especially over the course of the next 3 or 4 months. It's going to pay in a big way if you can show everybody on your teams how to get their auto ship set up. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to this next one that I want to go on. Okay. When it comes to establishing your your goals, right, and talking about our isogenics business, there's really 3 ways to increase your income in isogenics, and honestly in any business, right? We can get more customers, so we can sign more people up. You can increase the transaction size of what they buy, meaning that when they start with a 9-day, or they start with a 30-day, or a pace setter, or a president's pack, or a business builder, right? So that's another way to increase it, by increasing what you are promoting to people for them to purchase, and what your team is promoting to people for what they purchase. If you're running around telling everybody, hey, look, it's okay. Because when I started, I'll be honest with you, I was always, $200 was like my magic number. I was trying to figure out how to get everybody started in isogenics for $200. And if somebody wanted to come to me and say, hey, look, I want to buy a canister of shake and some Isopro, then I'd say, okay, canister shake, Isopro, some Ionics, and about $200, that's perfect, right? I would create the Brent pack, right? And it varied. It was never the same, but it was always around $200, right? Because that was my number. And I would impose that number on people before I really knew what they wanted. And if you're imposing a number on somebody because if you think that the waiter or the waitress may not make enough money, or the person that has this particular job may not have enough money, so you're imposing a price on them, then you're missing out on the opportunity that exists. When you talk to somebody, you need to tell them what the options are, and I'm talking about all of them, all the way up to the business builder, and then you need to let them make a decision. It's so important. Dan Ferguson and I have had this conversation, right? Dan was the master of saying, oh, let's get everybody down to this price point, right? That's a great idea to get people on board. So you're increasing the number of customers. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's one of the 3. But you may not be able to retain them because they get on at such a low price point that they don't stay. Because then when they've got a place to order the next month because you gave them too big of an incentive, then they may not stay. So again, get more customers, increase the transaction size, and then the third one, which is the auto ship one, is increase purchase frequency. So increasing the number of times that somebody purchases and how often they purchase is a huge contributor to all of our bottom lines. And the most surefire way to do that is to set them up with an auto ship and then show them how to make a wholesale order. So they set up their auto ship, and then you say, look, if you want to order something else, then just go in and place a wholesale order. Or you go in and you adjust your auto ship to include a few more things that you want. But those are the three ways to do it. You got to get more customers, increase the amount of stuff that they're buying. You know, that's why Isogenics brought on coffee, and that's why Isogenics has increased the athlete line. And that's why Isogenics creates all these other product lines, is because they're trying to increase the transaction size of what people purchase. And that's why you don't ever, and I shouldn't say ever, but I'm going to tell you, try not to ever be the person that places the order for somebody on your team. Because if Cindy calls me up and says, hey, Brent, I need you to place this order for me. And I go, well, Cindy, you've got a back office. Yeah, well, I know, but you placed it last month and I, blah, blah, blah. She gives me a couple of excuses and then I buy into it. And I go, okay, Cindy, what do you want? And Cindy says, well, I want a bottle of Ionics and I want this, and I want this, and I want this. And if she gives me three things and I log into her back office and I create the order and I purchase the order, I'm going to get her what? Three things, right? Because if I get her four things, what's going to happen? She's going to be calling me and saying, I didn't ask you for that, right? But if I show Cindy how to go into her own back office and she goes in there with the intention of buying three things and she buys four things or she buys five things, that's what's going to happen, right? Because nobody goes to the store just to buy milk and eggs and walks out of the store with milk and eggs, right? We all go to the store, and when we're looking at everything on the shelves, we end up buying something else. And that is the number one reason why you don't be the order placer for people on your team. Because if you're going in and you're placing those orders for them, you're getting them exactly what they asked for, because if you don't, you're going to hear about it. Whereas what you need to be doing is showing them how to place their own orders. And then when they place their own orders, they are doing the increasing of their purchase frequency, or they're increasing the size of the transaction. And that is a main way to increase your transaction size, is by showing the person how to utilize their back office. You are the CEO, CFO, president of your company. Don't be the sales clerk. That's not your job. All right. And if, for those of you that are on the top leader page that Jill has, you'll see that she talks on there all the time. Don't do product training. And you guys know I love talking about product. I love to talk about people's macros and how to help them be healthier. And I'm all into that because I truly believe in the product. But I'm not going to do a team call unless somebody has a very specific reason to ask me, hey, Brent, I've got these two people that want to know about how to do nutrition. I'll do that, right? But I'm not going to put together a team call on nutrition. I'm not going to do that. And it's because what I really want is I want you guys to understand that all of the nutritional information is available to somebody that wants to look it up. And I really want them to see exactly what that looks like when the person logs into their own back office and goes to ISA FYI. And I'll say it again, I've said it 1,000 times. Go to Google, go to the search box, type in ISA FYI space whatever topic it is that you want. ISA FYI space high blood pressure. ISA FYI space calcium. ISA FYI space whatever it is. Type that in and you will get the answers that you want to find. Much better than if you go to isafyi.com and you use the search engine there. The Google search engine is just better. Don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why, because Google's a multi-billion-dollar organization in itself. So it's better, and it's designed to be. And that's okay. We don't have to have the best of everything. We just got to have damn good shakes and a good group of people that want to go out and share it. And that's what we're really good at. So that's that's my rant on that. So let's see. I think that was the last one that I really want to go over, was the how to increase your transactions. Let's see. I really want to encourage you guys though to do your to do this deal on your personal income, knowing what your costs are, knowing what it costs you to live. That's a really good thing for anybody to do, quite honestly, whether they're doing isogenics or not, because people don't know, and that's how people get into trouble that they get into financially. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about our one of the goals that we had, and we achieved it recently, right? And so we've got a new one because that's the way it works. So we had a goal of, I was looking at my numbers because I watch them all the time, and the goal was it started off right with, like everybody else, you want to hit 1 cycle a week, you want to hit 2 cycles a week, you want to hit 1 cycle a day, you want to hit 2 cycles a day, and you start averaging up and up and up, right? Well, I want you guys to think about this, right? Because this really was a mind blower to me. And now I've really got to learn to grow beyond this because I've never been there, right? When I grew up as a kid, I remember my dad used to tell me this all the time. He would say, if you can have a job that you're paid $100 a day, you're paid really well, right? $100 a day, you were paid really well. And so I grew up with that kind of being my limiting factor, right? If I had something that I was making $100 a day, then I had a good job, right? Because that's what I'd always been told, it was this number, the ceiling of a number, right? Well, when I went to the police department, things happened, and I started, obviously making, more than $100 a day, but I was making more than that. And so I had a limiting factor at the police department, because at the police department, right, when I left the police department, I was a lieutenant, and as a lieutenant, you make around, and it was convenient, right? Because it was $54 and about $54 an hour. And so with isogenics, when I realized what a cycle was worth, the cycles were $54. So I just knew that I had to exchange the word cycle for hours, right? So I knew that since I left the police department at 50% of my pension, I needed to make the other 50% up in cycles. So a full week was 40 hours. And since I was getting paid for 20 hours of week and 20 hours of work and not having to go in, I knew that I needed to have 20 cycles a week. So I was like, well, that can be done, right? So that happened because that was one of our goals, right? Was to replace my pension, the other half of my pension income. So when that happened, then it just started ticking off, right? So we started ticking off different numbers. Well, the number that I'd been working on for probably 7 months kind of didn't even really see it was a goal, but then it started creeping up and it became 20 cycles a day. Well, 20 cycles a day is $1,080 a day. Okay. So I want you to, and for me, that's like, and I know there's other people that are like, well, that's nice, but it's not everything. But $1,080 a day, rounded down, right? Because it's easier math, right? $1,000 a day. That doesn't suck. And when I say that, I mean that in the best way, and the fact that you think about what changes in your life take place whether you are out on a motorcycle ride, or if you're out just enjoying the day with your family or doing whatever you're doing, and you know that when you come home and you hit your isopulse button or you check your back office, you know that you made $1,000 that day. Whether you were asleep, whether you were sick, whether you were out, whether you were at a different job, whatever it was that you were doing, you were making that dollar amount. And I'm not imposing my dollar amount on you. I'm asking you guys to pick a dollar amount in your head that looks good 6 months from now. So pick a number that you would like to see that you make every single day without any extra effort. This is without going in and trying to, get people to place additional orders or trying to run a team incentive or doing something along those lines. And pick that number and write it down and see it coming, because it's going to come. It's going to show up. And when you get that number written down, just because I want you guys to understand what it looks like, know what that number is divided by 54. And that's the number of cycles that you need to hit a day to make that number happen. Now that number could be $100 a day, which is 2 cycles a day. And that's fine. Don't get caught up on having to achieve somebody else's number. find your number that's good for you for in 6 months from now, okay? And drive yourself towards that 6-month number. Because if you can drive yourself towards a goal and see it and realize it, it will show up, guys. And if you'll stick with this thing, I'm telling you, it's going to show up. And then you're going to have to, just like that, I found that post. I don't remember who showed it. It might have been, and I don't want to give credit where it wasn't due. I can't remember who it was. Somebody posted it. It shows the guy on the, in the little Facebook thing. It says something about set a goal so big that you have to grow into it, right? So set that goal that is so big that you've got to grow into it. Because growing into a certain dollar amount is a scary thing. It's kind of like going full circle in our conversation, going back to everybody's new benchmarks that showed up and going, holy crap, I got to hit this benchmark in order to make this, to make this work. And for those of you that didn't see the video that I did about the benchmarks, when you get into the 2-star pools and above, your benchmark gets established based off of your 4 PET. And that 4 PET, as we've discussed, is your 4 levels down of your personally enrolled team. And what I really came to think about is actually on a bike ride or actually it was on a run, is the fact that means that Isagenix isn't going to pay you until you've helped your team reach a certain dollar amount. And that's the way I look at my 4 PET now. My 4 PET number is 364 cycles a week, right? That's what this team, my 4 PET team, has to create, right? So if the team has to create that number of cycles, that's like $18,000 something a week that the team has to earn before Isagenix is going to pay me any bonus money. So my job as the team, as a team leader, not but as a team leader, is to help my team achieve $18,000 worth of weekly income, my first 4 PET team, to achieve that $18,000 a week of income. And if I don't do that, then Isagenix says you're not good enough at this yet, so you're not going to get a bonus. That's my mind, right? That's how I've convinced my brain to look at it. So I'm going to tell you guys to look at your 4 PET, know what it is, even if it's not affecting your bonus, but look at it and realize that if your team isn't achieving that level of income, that's why you're not making enough money to keep your goals happy, to meet your goals, is because you aren't helping your team to create that level of income. And that's a really big, weird thing to get your head wrapped around. And I hope I'm doing a good job of explaining it. But really, your team has got to have, they've got to be earning money in order for you to earn more money. And it self-replicates, right? And again, I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions on any of all that information I shared with you on the goals and that sort of thing. So ask some questions. Let's hear something. Munzer, quit yawning and ask a question. Come on, Teresa, I know you've got something.
I don't have a question, but I was just going to remind everybody the training I did last week is available if you want to send that to your people on how to adjust their auto ship and how to place orders. And then you don't have to go over it with them. Just send them the video.
Cool. Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay. Everybody on here going to commit to, I can't read it, Teresa. What is it? 100 cycles per week. I like it. That's $5,400 a week, just in case you weren't sure. So, and it's doable, Teresa. It's definitely doable.
Those are all over my house and all over my kitchen at the shop so that I see it all the time.
How much BV does that take to get, Teresa? How much left side and right?
I have no idea.
So it takes 900 BV to get one cycle, right? 3 on one side, 6 on the other, 900, right? So if you need 900 times, you need 900 times 100, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
You need to know the math, right? So that's your number.
That's a lot.
right? But that's how much, but that lets you know what kind of volume you need, right side and left side, to achieve that. So as your right side and your left side is growing, look at it and recognize, okay, I'm going to need 30,000 BV on this side. I'm going to need 60,000 BV on that side in order to obtain that number. Okay. So you're going to need 90,000 total BV a week coming up your right and left in order to obtain that 100 cycles per week, right? And it's doable. It's totally doable. You just have to know what that number is, right? So
Yeah.
that's the number, 90,000, right? Anybody else?
Hey, I got work to do.
That's right. That's all right, though. It's good. I like the push. That's a 5-star, by the way. I like it. Okay. Let's see, what else? Anything else, Trace? Oh, launch. Yeah, launch week. Everybody on here going to commit to doing a launch tasting party, something during launch week? I'm going to ask you to do it, right? I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you're not doing a tasting, I don't care what you call it, but during launch week, you need to do something in the terms and form of a tasting, a launch party, something along those lines during that week. Get with 1 or 2 other people, whatever, but put that together and challenge yourself to do it. If you do not do it, this is the last corporate sponsored launch week through the summer. There won't be another, this is the end of the 90-day, right? So there won't be another better opportunity to put together a launch week than the week of the 4th. It's going to be huge, and I'm telling you guys, especially since you guys are on here, I'll go a little red on you. If you don't do it, you're not wanting it, and I mean that, because the reality is that May, June, and July are going to be your tougher weeks or your tougher months, and you need to get it set up to where you're rolling into that with some serious momentum. It's kind of like when you go for a run, right? And you're running and you get a little bit of a hill and you can run down that hill and you see the big hill coming on the other side, but you're thinking, if I can get some momentum up, I can make it at least part of the way up on that hill just on my momentum alone. And then the rest of the hill will be driven off of, mind and willpower. All right. So maybe a bicycle is a better analogy than running, but anyway, get that momentum going, because right now this is a great time to do it. Going into summer, it's bikini season, it's swimsuit season, it's something, it's get outside season, and you can drive some additional business into your world by pushing through this next launch week, the week of April 4th, and set that up and just do it. And for those of you that haven't done it, do it. Do it and think in the back of your head, nobody's going to show up. I want you to have it in your head. Nobody's going to show. I'm going to do this and nobody's going to show up. And that way, when one person says they're going to be there, you've already exceeded your goal. Right? Because if you do this and one person shows up, then you're successful because you've helped one person change their life. Right? If you set this up and everybody cancels but one person and you cancel, you failed. Because you had one person that was willing to come and learn and listen and maybe change that one person's life, and you let that person go unhelped. Okay? You need to, there's people out there that need this. They need the nutrition, and there's plenty of people out there, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, that are dying a slow financial death. And you don't know their pain because you don't see the fact that they're afraid to answer their phone. They're afraid to go to the mailbox. They're afraid to do these things because the tax man's calling. And they don't want to see or deal with the tax guy or the collection guy. And if you can show them how to earn an extra $200, $300, $400, $500 a month, that might be enough to save them. And you've got to believe that, guys. I'm telling you, it really is true. So I'll jump off of that horse, but I'm telling you, you've got to do I'm going to encourage you to do the launch week.
Hey, Brent.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea, is it going to be free enrollment or free shipping from corporate, or you have no idea?
I won't know. Nobody will know obviously until they do it. Again, I would anticipate it to be kind of the same thing. I can tell you guys that because Jill has given me some insider info that she's having some pretty close conversations with Isogenics corporate. In fact, she's going back again this Friday for another presentation that she's going to be doing for them. And one of the things they're talking about is how to improve these incentive models that they're doing. That's why I won't say that she's the reason why, but I know that they're looking at doing different incentives, and that's why they did things like, the celebration tickets, for $114. So if you haven't bought your celebration ticket, buy your celebration ticket. If you have bought your celebration ticket, show somebody else how to buy their celebration ticket. We're looking at having, how many people we got? We're over 100 Team Shady members going to celebration. 100, right? That's badass, right? And if I do the $100 handout, that's going to be a fat stack of cash. I might need some security. Bring in my fat stacks so we can hand them out. But it's fun, right? And bring your team. Bring your team and bring more people, right? Bring them, show them up. So celebration, launch week, I think that's about it. I don't have much else, guys. My main reason, I hope it was worth something. This goal setting ideas. I hope that meant something to you guys. I spent a little bit of time looking into it and trying to figure out the best format to follow for it. So I hope it meant something to you. Vicki, all I can see is the top of your forehead. I see you made it home safely. You've got a long sleeve on, so I assume you're back where it's colder than it was here.
Yes, I had this on when I left this morning. It got chilly by you as well.
Nice. So, yeah, because you guys just flew back today, right?
Yep, 10:15. We got in about 4:30 today.
Cool. What time did you leave here?
10:15.
10:15. All right, cool. So, Vicki was out in Arizona checking things out. We felt sorry for Pete, so we brought Vicki and her daughter over for Easter dinner. So we didn't want them having to eat Whataburger or something. So thanks for joining with us. That was awesome.
Oh my gosh, thanks for the invite. It was awesome.
Let's see, who else? Kim Duncan. Since we got a few minutes here before 7 o'clock, tell me about your launch that you did at the school. Let's have some details on how that went. You got to take your mute off. Do I need to fix it?
Okay, now can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Are you talking about the weight loss challenge?
Yeah. So let me set this up real quick. So Liz did one here locally, and Kim did one in Colorado where they were engaged with the school district, and they had a bunch of people and put together a weight loss challenge for the schools. And the teachers, the administrators were all involved. It wasn't any kids, it was all adults. And so, Kim, go ahead. How did yours go? How did it work out?
Well, mine, I know Liz's was on a bigger scale. I did mine with my school where I teach. And so I started off, we have a teacher that has just found out she has breast cancer. And so the entry fee went towards her, to donate to her. And then we had this week is the final weigh-in. And every week they had to go in and weigh on Tuesday. And so I would then calculate their percentage of loss. It wasn't by pounds because, obviously some people had more pounds to lose than others. We ended up out of my staff of about 30, let's see how many people are in my staff. About, I think 40 people. We had about, 17 join. We raised over $200 for Rachel, the teacher, And so every week, I gave a team prize. I put them in teams so they would be accountable to each other. So I put them in team prizes, or I gave every week out of my pocket, and I used it as a business expense. I gave them some type of prize, and it was like Mad Greens. I gave them a $7 gift card. That's like a healthy salad place. And the individual prizes, like this week, I gave them a coffee mug and Isogenics coffee. I gave out a lot of shaker cups. So trying to get people introduced to Isogenics in the process, because they could use whatever way that they wanted to use it. I haven't gotten necessarily more people signed up, but I have more interest in the products, where people are wanting to try the shake, are wanting to try the cleanse, because of just hearing about it. So I have a lot more people in my school trying some of the products. So my next step is trying to get those people to sign up and have their own number instead of, just wanting to try it through me.
Right. Did you create a Facebook page to put them all in?
Yes. And it was, the Facebook page actually even had more people that were just in the challenge, because I set it up right away, and I just started putting people in that were my friends that I worked with.
Okay. What I'm going to encourage you to do is, and I would encourage all of you guys to do this, if you can ever put together this this type of a thing, our overall success was not dramatic. It certainly hasn't turned out anything close to what I had anticipated this one up here to be. And so as a financial contest, it hasn't turned out well. However, what it has done is it's given us access to another network of people. So I would tell you my experience in doing this, just this one, and I'm open to doing it again. I'll tailor it more. But I would tell you that if you do something like this for a business, and you do not require, because we didn't require, and I know Kim didn't either, require them to join Isogenics to be part of the contest, because you're going to kind of cross some potential boundaries there if it's a fundraiser or if it's for a school or something. So, but what you do is you want to make sure that you personally friend as many of those people as will possibly friend you, and you want to constantly be offering them the opportunity to get into your product page. And the reason that you want to do that is, first, you want to establish a Facebook group just for them. So let's say that you have a business that's open to you creating a 30-day challenge for them. Then I want you to take that opportunity, then create a Facebook page so that all of those people can be in that page for the purposes of coaching and educating and advising of the prizes. The one that we did, they wanted us to send out emails to people that couldn't be in Facebook for whatever reason, or just didn't want to be in Facebook. And I'll be honest with you, I was all about the no on that. I'm not going to individually email people, because my goal is to engage them in my marketing plan. Okay, let's be honest. This is our business conversation, so I'm going to tell you the business side. It is to engage them in the marketing. And I want them to constantly be seeing Isogenics as a marketed opportunity to them over and over and over again. And I can't do that with email, right? I've got to get them engaged in something that they're going to see regularly. And the only thing that I know how to do with that is to engage them in a Facebook page. So I'm going to tell you that you should create a Facebook page for the business, make it a private page so that other people can't be in it. And make sure that they know that, okay, because these were a bunch of teachers, so obviously they didn't want, they may not want other parents or something like that involved in the page. So keep the page private, only let the people into the page that are invited by other members of the page. So if Lisa's a member of the page and she wants Aaron to be a member also, then that's fine. She can invite him and he'll be approved. But if Aaron just randomly sent a request to be a part of the group, we wouldn't let him in because he wasn't approved by somebody. Okay. So that would be the example I would give you. By having that Facebook page access, now what we're in the middle of doing, because our challenge is getting ready to wrap up here, is how do we convert those people, or do we kill that? How do we kill that page? Do we kill that page, or do we continue to keep it open to see who stays in it? My thought is that we're probably going to do is offer up the opportunity to do another contest for the next 30 or 60 days and see who wants to stay in. And then we may change the rules a little bit for that next 30, 60-day contest. But that's the one thing that I'm thinking is try to figure out a way to continue this contest in an ongoing effort now that we actually have them engaged in some manner. And so that may be something, and Liz, I hadn't spoken with you about that. Tracy and I were talking about it today, is how do we engage them? And I think the answer to that is to say who's interested in, doing another 60-day challenge, and here's what we're going to do, right? Because I don't know if the school nurse is going to want to continue to do the weigh-ins and that sort of thing. So we may have to do kind of an on your honor system, blah, blah, blah. But we can do something to where we do similar to what we do with the isogenics team. And that is we say, look, take a picture of you standing on your scale, send it, and every 30 days do a drawing to keep them accountable. But that keeps them engaged with us, and it keeps us networking with them. But we need to do something so that we're driving some more enrollments, and that hasn't happened. So if anybody else has done something similar to that, or if somebody else does something similar to that, and you find an idea that works to drive more enrollments, please throw those out there, because I'd be happy to hear what other ideas are there to convert those into enrollments. All right.
And Brent, are you just talking about the one in Arizona? You're not talking about extending mine?
No, we can do yours. We just need to talk about it. We just need to talk about what that looks like. I'm fine with extending it. Yeah, we can extend it. It's just that we've got to figure out what do we do with, again, it's got to be something that's driven to drive income, because we've spent a whole lot of money between these two contests, and there has been maybe 2 enrollments. That's not enough to make it worth anybody's time or effort. So.
Well, and we can talk about it. And
yeah, we'll talk about that offline. So.
Okay.
But anyway, so it's a couple minutes till, so our hour is there. Does anybody else have any questions about anything we've covered tonight, or just comments that we can add on to?
I have something, Brent.
Oh, go ahead. Hi, Diane.
I just wanted to let everybody know what happened to me this week. Monday morning, I got a letter from International congratulating me on my new enrollment, and I didn't know what it was all about. I thought, what in the world is this? So I looked into it, and I called, talked to Brent, messaged him, and looked into the back office and everything, and this person joined my team. I don't even know, and she got it from my Pinterest page. Saw my website, went on the website and got excited, did some research. Apparently, I don't know how long ago yet. Still investigating more details on this, but she had a pretty nice order.
Yeah, like 192 BV.
Pardon me?
I think it was 192 BV.
Yeah, I think.
And enrolled as an associate.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so I tried her phone number and that they sent me, and couldn't reach her. The number was disconnected, which kind of worried me, and that's what generated my message to Brent. And the next thing I did was send her an email, and she finally responded today. She lost her job due to downsizing recently, and apparently was pretty turned on to everything she researched on isogenics, and that's why she jumped in. She is gung-ho. She's setting up parties already, which I'm not really sure how she's doing it. I've asked her the question on if she's ever done network marketing. She hasn't answered me yet, but it was.
Have you Facebook friended her?
I'm trying. I'm
okay.
Still for her to react.
And here's the deal with that, Diane. So let me make sure everybody's clear what happened. So Diane posts her stuff on Pinterest, and at some point she put her URL down for her back page, for her website. Somebody logged in, because somebody can do that if they type in www.brentshaw.isogenics.com or type in any of your information. They will get it's usually your username .isogenics.com. They can enroll themselves. And so that's what this lady did. She did that. She placed a 192 BV order. She enrolled as an associate. So she did all the right things, right? She put down a phone number that wasn't valid, which didn't surprise me too much because I figured she probably just didn't want to be contacted.
She changed your number.
Okay.
She forgot it when she wrote it down. She just got a new Verizon number.
Okay, so she did that. And so what the goal there is now is to, who's got the beeping going on? Hang on, I'll fix it. Let's see. Okay, so so once she placed the order, once you become an associate, then that's fine. And if you have somebody like that, Diane, and they're not responding to you right away, just send them to www.isogenicsbusiness.com. Okay, send them that email, send them that link so they know where to find it, and tell them that you are part of a group that has a Facebook page that coaches on business and a Facebook page that coaches on nutrition. And if they'd like into either one, feel free. Okay, don't bombard this person with additional information or questions or freak them out, right? Don't be weird. Let's just tell them that it's available and see what happens. Now, this person may be somebody that wants to take off and grow, and that's fine. Show them the tools to do that. Don't feel like that you have to manage them or own them in any way. Just say, look, this is where it's at. Let them find it. Now, conversely, because when Diane first told me this, and I'll tell you guys this has happened twice now that I'm aware of, where a group of people have logged into somebody's URL and purchased massive volume. Okay. One of them was a group of 4 people logged in, used some information, and bought 11 business builders. Okay. So 11 business builders, they did that, and they bought them all. They bought them all on with fraudulent credit cards. Now, what happens if that happens, just so you know, is all that BV is dispersed. So Isogenics will push that BV forward just like a real order, okay? Because Isogenics is not going to know that it's fraudulent until 4, 5, 10 days later, right? So if you ever see, now when it was a small order like that, I wasn't too worried about it, and they'd enrolled as an associate. So if you ever see all of a sudden somebody enrolls, the first thing you want to do is do what Diane did. Check the phone number, is it valid? Look up the email, shoot them an email address, and look at the size of the order. Okay, it was 192 BV, not anything crazy. Now, if Diane would have told me, hey, Brent, they ordered 2 business builders, right? Then I'm going to immediately contact corporate, and I'm going to ask them to suspend that BV, because I don't want Diane to get paid the BV, and I don't want the BV coming to me, right? I don't want it until Isogenics confirms that it's valid, and then I would let them to release it and push it forward. Because if that BV is pushed forward, and I want you to think about what this looks like in your own back office, you get somebody that logs into your back office, purchases 11 business builders, okay? Each business builder is 640 BV. So we're talking about 7,000 BV that all of a sudden shows up in your back office. Now, depending on which leg that's on, whether it's your 600 leg or your 300 leg, then you're going to get paid out a certain number of cycles. And it could be anything from 10 or 11 cycles to 20 or 15 cycles, okay? And you're going to get paid. But when that order gets returned, when those credit cards get found out to be fraudulent, and Isogenics has to return that money, Isogenics is then going to go through a process where they literally remove, actually don't remove, they just slowly take the BV back that you got. So you're going to go, they may set it up to where it shoots or it removes like 300 BV out of your account every week, right, for the next 4 weeks. And so for the next 4 weeks, you're going to get hit with it's a return of 300 BV. So let's say you get 500 BV that week. Well, you may only really receive 200 because they're going to take that back because it wasn't real and they didn't get paid and you didn't get paid. So you're not going to be able to get paid. And so just be aware of the fact that if that ever happens, be diligent about it. Don't just think, oh my gosh, I got 6,000 new BV. Look at me, right? Don't do that. Contact me. I'll probably notice it, quite honestly, if it come up most of you guys' through most of you guys' pages, I would find it and I would see it. But if you're ever not sure, do what Diane did, reach out to me and I'll do my little verifications. And again, 192 BV, although that would suck to get a return order on 192 BV, it wouldn't be life altering like getting a return order on 12,000 BV would be. Okay. Make sense? Cool. All right. Well, congratulations on that, Diane. And I hope that she stays with you. Like I said, just send her to www.isogenicsbusiness.com. Make sure she's aware of Team Shady and Great Nutrition and leave it at that. And if she reaches back out to you, fantastic. If she doesn't, there's only so much you can do for somebody that won't communicate with you. Just don't, just make sure she knows that you're available. And that's the way I would tell you to do. But that's how I tell you guys to deal with anybody, right? That's how we deal with all of the people that come into our teams is we make sure that they know that we are available to them, because if we try to shine our light on them, they may not appreciate it, right? So just be available. Anything else?
You guys,
Go ahead.
listen, I don't know if you've ever done this before. I know Lena has, but right now, while this call's going on, I've been communicating with a gal who is trying to get information from me about our nutritional program because there's a Slim Fast post running through my page on my newsfeed. And I posted in there, I have a better way, blah, blah, blah. And I put in one of our posts, and this is the third person that's contacted me and said, what's your nutritional system? So I just sent her a friend request. Give me your information. I'll add you to our group so you can check it out. So you got to start commenting on those other pages that are coming up. The bypass, I know Lena's on one of the bypass ones. The catalog, the swimsuit catalog, I think it starts with a V or something. They're constantly posting pictures for their swimsuits. And I was posting in there saying, oh my God, I'm going to look smoking hot in that swimsuit since I've been started this nutritional program, like whatever. But I haven't gotten any replies from that, but I'm trying, and again, I've just been communicating with this gal. She just accepted my friend request and hopefully I'll be signing her up by next week.
So here's one for you, Vicki. Buy one of their swimsuits, take a picture of yourself and say, this is what you look like if you use my nutrition.
That's great. You know what? I totally will. I'm going to order it right after I get off the phone.
Because they're going to love you, right? Because the swimsuit people are going to like it because it's their swimsuit. And then everybody else can say, oh my gosh, she really is somebody that's serious about it. Kelly D, you got to wait a couple months before you can do that. But yeah, so just, think outside the box to be able to make that happen. And, but that's a great idea. So yeah, post on your page, turn it into something.
Right. Exactly. So just keep trying, you just got to keep fighting the way.
Cool. Kelly D, when's it due?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
We got a new Team Shady member in 2 weeks.
That's right. New enrollment.
Very cool. All right, guys. We'll wrap it up.
Out of my house.
Congratulations to your up and coming 2-week event.
Thank you.
You're doing cesarean, right?
I'm sorry, what?
You're doing.
All the kids just walked in.
That's right. You're doing cesarean, right?
Say shh. One more time.
You have an exact delivery date?
Yeah, April 13th for sure.
April 13th. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So everybody keep Kelly in your prayers and her family in your prayers for April 13th as a very happy, joyous day.
Thank you.
All right. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks, Brent.
All right.
See ya.
We'll see you guys.
See you guys.